Dear listeners, good morning and welcome to Comme d'Archi, the podcast that opens the doors to the fascinating world of architecture. For newcomers, let me introduce myself. I'm the spokesperson of Anne-Charlotte Despons, PhD in History of Architecture, published author, head of a communication and development agency based in Paris, France, dedicated to architecture. Let's meet every week to discuss culture and architecture with specialists and learn how to look at projects through a context and diversity lens. Thank you for being with me today, and now it's time for talent.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Dear listeners, good morning. This is Esther on behalf of Anne-Charlotte. It's good to meet you again in Season 3 of Comme d'Archi, Episode 34. Today we have a text from the amazing French office Les Marneurs, France, Belgium, very well adapted to the climatic changes. Hi everybody, we are Les Marneurs, an architectural, landscape and urban design office based in Paris and Brussels. We work on a wide variety of construction projects, public spaces and urban studies throughout France and in Brussels. I am Geoffrey Clamour, architect and urban designer. I graduated from the Paris-La Villette School of Architecture in Paris. Before founding Les Marneurs, I worked at STAR, Strategies Plus Architecture in Rotterdam. I teach at the Nancy School of Architecture and Centrale Supélec. I also co-founded the festival Les Utopies Constructives, which deals with architecture, arts, engineering and experimentation in Richelieu in France. My associate in Paris, Julien Rebours, is also an architect and urban designer. Julien graduated from the Marseille School of Architecture. Previously, he worked at Atelier des Combes Rampini in Geneva. He teaches at the Paris Est School of Architecture. Finally, my associate Antonin Amiot is a landscape and urban designer. Antonin graduated from the Landscape Engineering School of Blois. He worked with the Landscape Workshop and the NGO Bleu Versant in La Rochelle within the Tactic office in Brussels. By associating a landscaper and two architects, the office draws on a wide variety of backgrounds and experiences. Our approach is defined around three main themes, which are risks, resources, and narrative. Generally, our projects integrate adaptation to climate change at all stages of the design, taking into account how to save resources, soil, water, energy, biodiversity, ecological construction methods, and how to prevent natural risks, in particular flood, marine submersion on the seaside and riverside territories. Generally, our projects integrate adaptation to climate change at all stages of the design, taking into account how to save resources, soil, water, energy, biodiversity, ecological construction methods, and how to prevent natural risks, in particular flood, marine submersions on the seaside and riverside territories. We always try to build a strong common narrative, but also to set up precise and operational management and construction methods. Les Marneurs leads projects at various scales. We design several public spaces in Brussels, a productive park in Charleroi, an agricultural park with social housing especially designed for farmers in Toulouse, which is very innovative in its concept. We recently achieved the refurbishments of new reading rooms in the Sainte-Geneviève Library in Paris, but also a vernacular micro-architecture in Sauliac-sur-Célé in the south of France. We are also urban designers, so we work on urban and landscape studies in La Rochelle, Cherbourg-en-Cotentin, Étretat, and Toulouse. Les Marneurs were recently promoted as les 100 qui font la ville, literally the 100 who make the city. I am going to tell you about two projects that seem interesting to me because they were born from collaborations of different skills, but also from different countries and different personalities, and which ultimately contributed to the launch of our office. The first project is the Anderlecht Skate Park in Brussels, which we won in 2019. To participate in the competition, we put together an original team. We invited one of the best skate park designers in Europe, who is also a former professional skateboarder by the name of Janus Sahario. He designed some pretty magnificent projects in Finland, mixing the public space, the landscape, and the practice of skateboarding. We also invited a Brussels skate park construction company and an association of Brussels skateboarders who gave us a better understanding of the local skate culture. And finally, we asked an engineer and researcher, Mark Himmons, to study how we could integrate a part of recycled aggregates in concrete in order to reduce the carbon footprint of this type of project. The project is located on a very special site, on the edge of the Charleroi Canal and at the entrance of a waste reception center designed by the 51N4E office. They had the brilliant idea of installing this public space to transform the waste reception centers into real urban public facilities, where people come to sort, meet up, and play sports. By exploring the origins of skateboarding, we realized that skateboarding was also born from a logic of reuse and of water. In the United States, the first skaters, often snowboarders, in fact reused swimming pools and large hydraulic structures in times of drought to invent a new practice of sliding. With Janus Saharia, we therefore had this intuition to work on a reinterpretation of both the stream and the reuse. Brussels knows many periods of rain, so how could water generate an original skate course? After many sketches, this idea took the form of a route that interprets the meanders of a river, the flow of rainwater from top to bottom of the site to the Charleroi Canal. This has generated a figure known in skateboard parlance as the snake run, which winds around damp gardens that infiltrate rainwater onto the plot and remove the need for buried pipes and networks. Above all, it creates a new humid green landscape in which Brussels skaters will be able to make their own way. It is therefore a somewhat unexpected skate park, the meeting point between a public space, a skate space, and a green park. The project is currently under construction and will be delivered in 2023. Another project that is close to our hearts is the redevelopment of the Lawton Collins quay in Cherbourg, which we designed with the CETEC organization group, which is a large group of French engineers. It is a very innovative and very interesting project. The city of Cherbourg asked us to think about the redevelopment of a vast port area which accommodates the Cité de la Mer, a jewel of Art Deco architecture, and the great submarine Le Redoutable. The city also wanted to find answers to the phenomena of marine submersion expected in the decades to come and caused by global warming. With CETEC and Hydratec, we first looked at the geography of this area and we realized that the site was originally a large estuary made up of vast expanses of dunes and amphibious environments before becoming a large boulder area. We therefore had the idea to thematize the layout of the Lawton Collins Wharf by reinterpreting these large pre-existing landscape entities, the dunes, the foreshore, and the sea. We have designed this new maritime landscape with the logic of fine topography, gardens, parks, and plant environments that make the wharf really resilient to episodes of submersion. That is to say that it can regularly accept floods during tidal episodes for 4, 5, or 6 hours. Then it will accompany water withdrawals and their gradual infiltration into the soil, today exclusively mineral. What was interesting in this study was also to integrate the scientific data of the IPCC and to understand that these are not fixed but in constant evolution. We realized that a flood which today has a 1 in 100 chance of occurring each year will be likely to occur twice a month in 2100. A bit as if Cherbourg in 2100 were going to become a new Venice. We have, therefore, also thought about solutions that are urban, architectural, and technical, so that the buildings that will be built on this quay between 2025 or 2030 can, in 2080 or 2100, adapt to water levels higher than those currently expected. In particular, we worked on 3 postures. One which consists of building above the water by raising part of the buildings, a second posture which consists of making the buildings themselves resistant to submersions, and finally a third posture which allows buildings to let water enter their ground floor in a controlled manner, a bit like in Venice during Aqua Alta. The project is now supported by the city of Cherbourg-en-Cotentin and is under development. There are still a lot of projects I would like to talk about, but that will be for next time. Thank you all for listening, and we hope to see you soon in Paris, Brussels, or elsewhere. Dear listeners, thank you for tuning in. Let's meet again next week for a new Comme d'Archi in English. And until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to tune in to our previous content on Instagram at Comme d'Archi Podcast. If you like it, make sure to promote the podcast by giving it 5 stars on Apple Podcast and adding a comment, or on any of your favorite podcast platforms. And don't forget to subscribe and listen to all of our episodes for free. See you soon, and until then, take care of yourself.